So, the first teaser for James Gunn Superman just dropped, and I am so excited. I've been following the production of this for years, ever since it was announced, and to see it finally in motion feels kind of unreal. There's a lot riding on this movie. Not only is it the proper start to this new DCU and James Gunn's direction for the universe, but it's also the first solo Superman movie in 12 years. And so, if this flops, it might mean the end of the DCU. We might not get a chance to see the big blue Boy Scout on the big screen for a while, and we're gonna have to endure a whole other decade of people saying that he's boring. Oh, what's that? Oh, they have Krypto? Okay, no, yeah, this is gonna be the best movie ever. This video is brought to you by DoorDash. With DoorDash, you can have almost anything from your local neighborhood delivered, like food, flowers, retail items, and more, straight to your door. Especially during the holidays, it's great for when you're running out of snacks at a party, groceries for dinner, flowers for someone you care about, if you forgot your phone charger while traveling, or honestly just avoiding the terrifying holiday crowds at stores. I swear, the thought of going to like a mall right now that terrifies me. But it's more than just delivery. DoorDash is your door to more, to better relationships, more quality time with people you care about, that one extra round of gaming with the homies, or even just peace of mind when life gets hectic and you need to get some rest. I know I'm not alone when I say I get pretty stressed out during the holidays, what with dealing with family and gifts and just how crazy everything can get. This is the busiest month of the year for me, and so when I manage to get out, the crowds are just crazy, and not to mention it's cold and it takes half an hour to get anywhere. And so DoorDash has made a world of difference, letting me get back even just an extra 30 minutes a day to relax instead of stressing about all that. Download the DoorDash app now to get almost anything delivered, and use code TROYOBOYO24 to get 50% off up to $10 on your first order of $15 or more for a limited time. Thanks to DoorDash for sponsoring this video, and thanks to my patrons for able to get all my videos early and ad-free for just $1 a month. From the opening shot of the trailer, I knew it was going to be something special. It starts with Superman beaten and bloody, crashing and laying on the ground. People have made jokes about it, how he's in the Yamcha pose, but I think it's actually really important that the first time we're seeing this character is when he's literally knocked down. There's always the Superman is boring because he's too perfect argument, and that's always driven me crazy. And right from the get-go, we're nipping into the bud, and I really appreciate that. We get a look at his Clark Kent disguise going into the Daily Planet. I'm really excited to see how David distinguishes between the two. You can tell he's still a bit of a bumbling nerd, but not to the extremes of Christopher Reeve. But even just visually, they look like two completely different people. And the best part? We get the fucking glow, baby! That's what I'm talking about. We get some snippets of Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane, who I'm super excited for. Even from just these 2 seconds, you can see she has all the exaggerated swagger of Lois Lane. I also especially love this shot of her and Clark. It feels so Smallville Season 8. Which is a good thing to me because I really like Season 8. And based on later in the trailer, it looks like she already knows Clark is Superman. I think there's a lot of fun that comes with the secret identity drama, but it's also a good way to show that we're a little further along into his career and get some of that out of the way. Maybe he even tells her somewhere in this movie so we can get a little bit of both. We also get a quick look at the rest of the Daily Planet crew, like Cat Grant and my boy Jimmy Olsen. Imagine he gets shot in the head in this one too. I'm not gonna lie, that would actually be pretty funny. I also love the few shots we see of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor and his shiny ass cue ball head. Like, I love just how pissed he gets when he sees Superman flying by. And the Luthor Court building is crazy, I love it. It looks like they're leaning into the stylization of Metropolis's architecture, which is one of those things that I really wanted to see. And of course, the heart and soul of this trailer, and that's Krypto the Superdog, who comes to save Clark and take him back home. I love how powerful they're making this dog look, like the giant plume of snow from him running, only to reveal he's just a little scrappy guy. I've talked about it before, but I think it's really cool that James is basing him off his real life dog that he rescued while writing the script. And I think that his role in this trailer showcases a lot about what this movie is trying to say and its themes. From there, we see a little shot of Superman saving this girl from a giant kaiju monster, probably the same one that shows up later in the trailer. And I gotta say, it's really nice to see a Superman movie where he's actually focusing on saving people. Oh wait, he totally broke that girl's neck. Oh god, not again. The CGI can be a little bit wonky, but remember, this is coming out in July. There's a whole 7 months to clean things up. Part of the reason I have so much faith in this movie is that they had almost a full year of post-production, compared to almost half that for a lot of MCU movies. Like Fantastic Four is supposed to come out the same month, and that just wrapped up filming. I also love the music for this trailer. John Murphy is one of my favorite composers, and so seeing that he's bringing some of his electric guitar to this movie really excites me. And while I do wish they had gone with something original like Hans Zimmer did with Man of Steel, it has a different kind of edge to it that I really like. I think that the John Williams Superman theme is so instantly iconic to whole generations of people that it would be a bit of a waste to not use it, at least for a little bit. Also, it feels like something I'd put in one of my videos, I'm not gonna lie. It seems like they're taking just the right amount of inspiration from the Donner movies. Like, the poster is gorgeous. It feels like a total tribute to those, save for not having a random Marlon Brando face on it. But as of this trailer, it doesn't feel derivative or like it's trying to just be those movies. Instead, it's paying homage and respect to the series that was so important to a lot of people, myself included, and so influential to the character. The trailer is pretty short, but there's a surprising amount to it, especially in the back half, and it's gotten the gears turning around in my head about everything and what's gonna happen in this movie. I really do think that this is gonna be kind of like a reverse Kingdom Come storyline, where Superman enters this this world with pre-existing superheroes who have gone fully corporate and forgotten what their role is, and he inspires them to reflect on that and up their game. We see a little bit of Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl, and Eddie Gathegi's Mr. Terrific, who all looked great. Honestly, it's just really cool to see a Green Lantern in live action again, I'm not gonna lie. It seems like they're part of the JLA or some other team with a different name, and they're being sponsored by Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord, which is why they all have the same kind of uniform. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for a bit of a commentary on the superhero industry itself. As of late, executives and CEOs have essentially treated these movies like they're money printing machines and forgotten why people fell in love with these characters to begin with, which is why people claim there's a superhero fatigue. And who better than to remind everybody of that than the first superhero? We also see this guy, who a lot of people seem to think is Brainiac, but is actually Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho. I'm not sure what role he plays into all of this, if he's on the same league as the others or not, but his makeup is insane. I can't even recognize him. There's this shot with Clark and Pruitt Taylor Vince as Jonathan Kent. From the looks of it, instead of dying suddenly from a heart attack, I think that Paw is actually slowly dying, which sounds really fucked up to say, but if you ask me, that's such an interesting change that I think works even better. It's yet another burden for Superman to shoulder, on top of everything else, and a constant reminder every day that he can't save everyone. And based on everything else Gunn has done and the way he's been talking about this and his inspiration from his personal life, yeah, this is gonna be hard to watch a little bit. We see Superman walk past this group of protesters. One guy even throws a can at his head, which is either very brave or very stupid. I'm not sure which one. Maybe both. It looks like he's visiting a memorial of some kind, maybe the result of an attack he couldn't stop and even more people he couldn't save. And the JLA is actually standing up for him, which is really nice to see. It's very easy to portray Guy Gardner as a total asshole with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, but despite how much of a jackass he is, he has a heart of gold, and I like that we can see a little bit of that in the trailer. One of the standouts of the trailer is this kid, who raises a flag with the Superman symbol on it, hoping that he'll come to save him, which is such a great visual for what the symbol means, not just to Metropolis or America, but all over the world. I mean, I can't think of like a symbol that is as iconic as that one. We see later a news broadcast that says Baravian troops are amassing at a border. I'm not gonna lie, this kind of story is a bit of a difficult one to walk. You have to be very careful how you go about it, or else you end up with a white savior narrative, or worse, Wonder Woman 84. And so I think it's completely valid to be concerned about it, especially given how American Hollywood movies don't particularly handle that subject matter very well. But if it's done right, I think it has potential to be really poignant and impactful, especially today. And Gunn has handled similar topics with the Suicide Squad, and I think he did that right, so it's possible he can with this one too. Bavaria is actually a pretty deep cut. It's a fictional country in Europe that's only showed up a handful of times, first appearing in Superman #2 by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. I love Golden Age Superman and how those stories framed him as the champion of the oppressed, and if there's any inspiration from that era, that really excites me. Probably the biggest question up in the air right now has to do with this guy. This big, beefy dude, all dressed in black with a big U on his chest. My best guess is that this is a variation on Ultraman. Ultraman is normally from Earth 3 as an evil Superman, but I think for this movie, he's maybe a clone of Superman made by Lex to quote-unquote prove that he's better. And he's wearing a mask to hide that he's a clone, and then it's like a big reveal. But then maybe over the course of the movie, he deteriorates and instead becomes Bizarro, which I guess Superman and Lois kind of did. Superman and Lois is just really fucking good, okay? Like rest in peace to that show. Using Bizarro could also be a really good way to comment on the evil Superman trend that we've seen ever since the first Injustice released, and how people think that someone like Homelander is what a realistic Superman would be like. And depending on the route they go, it could be really sweet if Clark beats him at the end by showing him kindness and helping him instead of just punching him. Also, look, this shot has the symbol backwards. That must mean Bizarro is 100% confirmed. I'm very smart. I said it before, but there's a lot of really high expectations for this movie. And for good reason. We haven't had a solo Superman movie since 2013, and even then, Man of Steel was divisive, to say the least. I have a lot of thoughts on that movie that I want to go more in depth another time, but it's safe to say a lot of people have been clamoring for that perfect Superman movie ever since. And because of that, I think those same people have created their own preconceived expectations of what that perfect movie is and the boxes that it has to check. You would expect the first Superman movie after Man of Steel to really be a course correction, to have bright, warm colors, always showing Superman smiling and saving everybody with no collateral damage, and just in general have a very specific kind of style and tone to it. Also, for some reason, a lot of people are really obsessed with making Starman by David Bowie this movie's unofficial theme, which, like, we already have a guy named Starman, just use it for him, you know? But this movie isn't doing any of that, and that kind of excites me. The color grading especially is a big point of contention that I've seen. The colors are more washed out with the highlights really exposed. Some people say that it's too bright. It looks more like the Suicide Squad than it does the Guardians movies, which are really colorful. And that's giving people some flashbacks to the Snyder stuff, which they really want to stay away from. The lens that they're using is able to change between focal lengths, and it leads to this crazy fisheye effect for a lot of the shots. And just in general, this movie doesn't seem to care about conforming to the norms or making that quote-unquote perfect Superman movie for the internet. But I love that. For all of his movies, but especially this one, Gunn has been a very intentional filmmaker. It's clear that every decision here has a purpose and feeds into the greater message of the movie and the greater theme. The JLA's costumes, the music, I'm willing to bet even the color grading has to do with the state of the world when the movie begins. Nothing is done for no reason or just because, and everything has intention and vision. Which is why I'm so excited for his plans for the DCU. Everything is done with creative vision and creative intent in mind. Projects aren't greenlit until a script is finished, directors are given more time and freedom to make the movies that they want to make, and just in general, these don't feel like they're being pumped out for content, but instead with one priority, making them the best they can possibly be. I don't need to see that perfect Superman movie that checks all the arbitrary boxes and makes every person satisfied. If you ask me, anybody could make that, and at that point, that's not special to me anymore. Instead, I want to see James Gunn Superman. And it looks like that's what this is going to be. You're going to hear the word hope a lot when talking about this movie, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's what the S stands for, SHOPE. It's such an integral part of the Superman character, and all of his stories revolve around it in some way. And it's an easy thing just to say the word hope, to just throw it around, have him put his hands on his hips and say, everything's gonna be okay, but not make any actionable plan to change things, and call it a day and everybody claps. But it's another thing to show it, to really represent what it means, not just with the character and what he says, but through how he interacts with the story. And that's the thing that I'm most interested in when it comes to this movie and how James Gunn is approaching this character. Because to me, Superman is at his best when being that symbol and representing those ideals is something that he always has to work for. There's always a debate about whether Clark or Superman is the true identity and the other's the disguise, but I think that they're both masks in a way. Clark, the bumbling reporter, is a facade that exists to protect his identity, but the perfect Superman is a facade meant to make people feel safe. And his true identity rests somewhere in the middle of that. And that ideal of Superman isn't just something that you are or what you're born with, but instead it's a constant decision you make every single day. And it goes back to that opening shot from this trailer, starting with him being beaten and bloody, laying on the ground, struggling to breathe. And the rest of the trailer shows that he's already battling hardships. He's hurt, his father is dying, the world hates him, he can't save everybody. All of these massive burdens that he has to shoulder every single day that anyone else would crumble under the weight of. But his loved ones pick him back up, sometimes even literally. It's those moments, the time spent with the people that he cares about, those tender moments with Lois, his father, or even his dog. That's what gives him the strength to keep going, to push through all of it and be Superman. They give him hope so that he can give it to the rest of us. So yeah, if a 2-minute trailer can do all of that, the rest of the movie is going to be pretty crazy. But what did you think about the Superman trailer? What are some things that you noticed that I didn't catch? If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Special thanks to Elijah Wakefield, Also the Sting, and Axu, Cabbage Boy, Cassidy, Calvin Brown, Carolyn Brenneman, Chicken McDoofus, Dan, Danny Boy, Eden Kenna, Egan McFarlane, Evan Bowers, Fastest Man Dead, Finn Yates, Hannah C, Harper Sires, Howard Bell, If You Know You Know, Iron Ninja, Jake Selig, Kai Dud, Ken, Leo Stringer, Mauricio Silva, Melody Dreamer, Glassbear Productions, Morpy, Mr. Game 959, Popcorn Eater 123, Raptor 77, Rocco Awad, Rylan Archuleta, Sean Mansington, Sherbet, Spectacular Clyde, Tafari, TDW Fan, Theo Crouch, Tim Neufeld, Choices by Ragers Lame, and Yesh Kapoor for being spectacular fanboys. This has been Troy Boy 17. Happy holidays, and I will see you around.